Hello?
Is this the cocksucker residence?
God damn you, stop calling here!
Isn't this 4215 Pussy Way?
You bitch!
Now let me check the zip code. 212, fuck you!
Beverly, darling, you home? The police are tracing this call this very minute.
Well, Dottie Hinkle, then why aren't they here, huh, fuckface?
Fuck you!
Hi, welcome to Bench Movie Club. I'm Charlie.
My name's Ben.
And in this podcast, we're going to be talking about the American satirical black comedy Serial Mum from 1994, written and directed by John Waters and starring Kathleen Turner. Where we're talking about this film, there's going to be loads of spoilers, as with all our podcasts, so please, if it's a film that interests you, or if you start listening to the podcast and you think, actually, I might want to watch that, then stop and watch it and then come back to it. So the film is it says it's a true story. It's not actually a true story, but that's just John Waters' sense of humour. He wanted to make it feel as if it could happen. And it could, it's easily believable that it's a true story. Like you said, that you tell people it's true.
I've told loads of people it's true and they still believe it's true.
Yeah. And why wouldn't you? Cause
until they hear this podcast, then they're going to realise it ain't true.
Kathleen Turner plays Beverly Sutphin, who's a middle-class housewife living with her dentist husband, Eugene, played by Sam Waterston, and their teenage children, Misty and Chip, who are played by Ricki Lake and Matthew Lillard. And it's interesting because even though the trailer makes out as if, could she be a serial killer? You realise straight away within like the first 20 minutes, yeah, okay, she is the serial killer. There's no sort of question about it. But it still works because you're on board with it and you sort of laugh along and you think how she's got this split personality, how she can be so nice at 1 minute and then start swearing down the phone at someone the next.
Didn't I just say fuck you?
I beg your pardon.
Who is this?
Mrs. Wilson from the telephone company. I understand you're having problems with an obscene phone caller.
Yes, I am. I'm sorry, Mrs. Wilson, but this is driving me crazy. I've had my number changed twice already. I'm a divorced woman. Please help me.
Well, what exactly does this sick individual say to you?
I can't say the words out loud. I don't use bad language.
Oh, well, I know it's difficult, but we need to know the exact words.
I'll try. Cocksucker, that's what she calls me.
Listen to you, filthy mouth, you fucking whore!
God damn you!
Motherfucker!
Cocksucker!
Beverly? Rosemary.
People that was going to be playing this, they actually originally wanted Julie Andrews to play the part.
Really?
But obviously she said no. Then Susan Sarandon was going to do it, but she wanted too much money, and because it was such a low budget, they couldn't afford her. So it went to Kathleen Turner, who done a really good job.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost you could believe as if he'd written it for her, just because where she plays it so well.
Oh, she's very good at it. Yeah,
she's got sort of like that crazy look in her eyes that she does sometimes. That serves it well. The other ones, I'm sure they would all been fine. But
yeah, I can imagine Susan Sarandon doing it. I could imagine her doing it. Also, Julie Andrews. But although I don't know what age would she have been in the 90s.
She would probably be
50. Actually, yeah, she might have. Yeah, she could have still carried it off, I suppose. But we're talking nearly 30 years ago.
Yeah, I think Kathleen Turner's probably got the best comedy chops out of all them.
Yeah.
So I think she was well cast for it.
Even though apparently Michael Douglas told her not to do it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know.
No. Even though it wasn't a success, it didn't do well in the.
No, it was. It cost 30 million to make, and they only got back 7.8 million.
But it is a cult classic, though. Yeah. I mean, I know that word's used a lot, but it does have quite a strong fan base. And I watched it the other day with my teenage daughter and my elderly mother.
We're trying to just say your mum.
And my mum. Well,
she's not elderly mother, like you're making her sound like she's about 90.
Okay, no. My mum was in her 70s and my daughter's a teenager, and there's me in my early 40s, and we all enjoyed it. We all found, we all found it amusing. We all found it the pace of it is quite quick. It goes from set piece to set piece to set piece.
Yeah.
And in these things you'd think, oh, it's going to take a while before they work out it's her, but by about halfway through, it's like everyone knows that she's the guilty person.
Yeah.
And what I love about this film, from there you'd think the film ends with her being caught, but it doesn't, because then you have the third act, which is like the courtroom.
Yeah.
And I love courtroom films anyway, and courtroom comedies I enjoy as well. There's a few of them. There
is some funny bits in it. I mean, still, like to this day, there is some bits that sort of do make you giggle. Kathleen Turner was obviously well known for Romancing the Stone, Jewel of the Nile, War of the Roses. She played Chandler Bing's mum in Friends. Oh no, Chandler Bing's dad.
Oh yeah.
In Friends.
Yeah.
And also the voice of Jessica Rabbit.
Yeah.
And the singing voice of Jessica Rabbit is Amy Irving, you know, out of Carrie. You know, the one at the end who gets her hand grabbed in the grave?
Oh, really?
Yes, that's the actual singing voice.
Knew that. Oh.
That's the singing voice of Jessica Rabbit is Amy Irving, who was married to Steven Spielberg.
Oh, okay.
And, yeah, so the singing, Why Don't You Do Right, is Amy Irving. She's Sue Snell in Carrie, the one who...
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know.
You know, like the dark
So
curly
can
hair.
Kathleen Turner not really sing?
Probably not as good as her.
No.
The voice of Jessica Rabbit, you can tell that's Kathleen Turner when you listen to it.
She's got quite a husky voice, hasn't she?
And there was Ricki Lake as well, who was obviously famous for Hairspray, and she done a chat show, Ricki Lake
Huge
chat show,
yeah.
And Matthew Lillard.
Yeah.
This was his first starring role. He's well known for Scream and Scooby Doo, like you said earlier. And Sam Waterston is well known for that comedy Grace and Frankie with Lily Tomlin and Jane Fonda. Yeah, it's a thing. Yeah, it's a few years ago, a couple of years ago, not that long. No, it was it's a Netflix series, and also a film called Killing Fields, and other stuff as well, loads of other stuff.
Yeah. So you said all the other actresses that were considered Meryl Streep: Kathy Bates, Glenn Close, Julie Andrews. But you know the thing about Kathleen Turner, I always used to get her mixed up with Sybil Shepherd.
Okay.
They look similar to me. When as a child, I always used to get them mixed up.
Yeah.
So I'd think, oh, she's the one out of Moonlighting,
right?
Or like, you know.
Yeah.
She's
okay. I can see that. See, I can see where you might have thought that as a child.
Yeah, but it's
probably the blonde bob.
Yeah. I wasn't very.
No.
Perceptive when I was younger. I mean, I'm not much more perceptive now, but when I was younger.
Did you know that the song Tomorrow from Annie? It cost them £60,000 to use that song and that clip from Annie because of the explicit content.
Oh well, at least he was able to pay for it. But I'm glad they did because
that's funny.
That's great editing. I watched that clip that he had all of the deaths. And that bit is probably, like, thematically, it's probably one of the best ones because how she does it in time to the music almost.
With
and
the leg of
how they miss her. Like, they're popping up looking through the window and they miss her. They think, oh, she's not in there. But then you got that Scottie on the roof sees her.
Yeah.
You know, it's very well choreographed
with
and
leg
edited.
Of lamb.
Yeah.
And then the death after that is good as well, which is the one on the stage.
Yeah, with the
band. Yeah, and they were spitting.
lips.
Yeah, camel lips, and they were spitting vodka on his burning body, thinking it's part of the show.
So the way she kills people is always interesting. So these are how she kills each person. So she runs someone over, then she stabs someone with a fire poker. She stabs someone with scissors.
Air conditioning unit, which she dropped on the husband as he's escaping. A leg of lamb, set the guy on fire, and of course at the very end, the telephone, where she kills the juror who's wearing the white shoes. Do you know who that juror is? What juror?
The juror she kills, juror number 8.
No.
It's a lady called Patty Hearst, who's
Patty Hearst.
She's quite infamous in America. She was kidnapped.
Yes.
She was kidnapped by this group of, like, these...
Is she the one that was made to, like, they buried her alive and she had to breathe through a straw?
I don't know.
I think there was a film years ago where they buried her alive to kidnap her and all she could drink... Oh, that would kill me, that would, because I get claustrophobia.
No, I don't...
she could breathe through some straw.
No, I don't think that's... I don't know if that was her.
Or something like that. There was like a little breathing pipe or something. I don't know.
Well, this is what I've heard about her. So, Patty Hearst. Obviously, the reason John Waters would have hired her just because...
Of her name.
He would have thought, oh, great, fantastic. The group of people that he used to hang about with and cast in his films were just characters. These extraordinary characters. It doesn't matter whether they could act or not. He'd go... I love that person. You're going to be in my film. You know, you're going to be in my film. She first became known for the events following her 1974 kidnapping by the Symbionese Liberation Army. She was found and arrested 19 months after being abducted because she ended up robbing banks with them and stuff like that.
Okay.
But she later said, well, obviously I had to go along with it. And
Yeah.
she said that they'd raped her and stuff like that. But she ended up doing a lot of time for it as well. So she was quite an infamous character because of the situation that's happened to her.
But she'd been groomed though, so you can't really. How old was she when she was kidnapped?
20. I think she was like 19.
19.
So she weren't. Her,
Yeah, but you can still groom someone at 19.
what happened? Her grandfather, William Randolph Hearst, created the largest newspaper, magazine, newsreel, and movie business in the world. Her great-grandmother was philanthropist Phoebe Hearst. The family was associated with immense political influence and a position of anti-communism since before World War II. So but it was still an opportunist thing because the Liberation Army happened to be on the same street that she was in. And they thought, let's kidnap her because her dad is so powerful. So they kidnapped her and they said, we're not going to release her unless you donate. We want every single person to have like a certain amount of money towards their food budget in Los Angeles. And the guy, her father or her grandfather paid out the money, but not enough. And they said, no, we've changed our mind, we're keeping her now. And they kept her, and 2 of them raped her. So it's quite sad.
I didn't realise. I never knew that. But I've heard the name Patty Hearst. I just didn't know where I'd heard it from.
Yeah, so I'm not going to go into all the details about it, but if it is very interesting. Like all the stories, you could do a whole podcast just on her life and all.
I think
events.
there's films about her, isn't there? This film's been made. I'm sure.
I don't doubt it.
See, Mum would remember that.
It's got like car hijacking, things like that, and people getting shot. It sounds like an action film in itself.
What year was that?
Well, she got kidnapped in 1974.
Oh, year I was born.
But she didn't have a lot to do in that film. Obviously, all she had to do is sort of like look over, and then at the end.
She's done a good job though. I never knew. I thought she was just some normal actress.
So John Waters, you know what else he directed?
No.
Well, he done that. What's it called? Pink Flamingos with Divine. That big sort of drag queen Divine, and I think they've done things with like eating
70s or
poo
something.
and stuff like that. And
What?
I'm sure I heard that there's one where like they pick up a bit of dog poo and eats it. I don't think it's real.
Oh right.
I think it's part of the film.
That was part of the act or something.
No, well, I don't think so.
Yeah, I've not.
I've
heard of Divine. I don't know from what. I think it's. I think it was a drag queen in the 70s. I think.
But he
really big sort of.
Yeah, there was. Divine was like best mates with John Waters, so he cast him in all the films.
Was Divine in this?
No, not in every film, but loads of.
I think Divine died. I think Divine died in the. Oh, I can't remember. I'm sure Divine's dead.
I'm not sure.
I think Divine died quite a long time ago. I don't know how I know the name, but I have heard the name Divine. And I don't know. I can't think of any films, but it's just maybe just one of them names that you've heard, like Danny LaRue.
But with John Waters, he also made Pecker, Cry Baby, Hairspray, the original Hairspray, and Pink Flamingos. Out of all of the ones he done, Serial Mums is one he's most proud of. He said that's the one he likes the most. Yeah,
I watched it, as I say, listen, I've always loved the film Serial Mum. Always really, really loved it.
Yeah.
When I watched it the other night, I don't know. I just felt like, I don't know. I don't know if it's sort of,
You felt dated?
If it's dated a little bit now. I watched it and I don't usually, listen, I can watch films time and time again. I watched it and I thought, yeah, it's still a good film. And don't get me wrong, I can appreciate there's some really good bits in it. There's some bits that still made me laugh, like the bit in the courtroom when she's making her swear. And she's swearing at her under her breath and all that kind of stuff. Funny. And the leg of lamb with the Annie, the death of that Scottie, and other bits through it as well. Like, but I don't know. For the first time I've actually watched it, I actually thought, I don't know.
You didn't like it as much?
No. But don't get me wrong, I still love the film. But then I thought, okay, I think maybe I've watched it enough now. But I have seen it so many times over the years, and it's been such a long time since I've seen it last. We're talking at least probably about 6-7 years. I know it inside out because I have seen it so many times and I've always enjoyed it. But then I found that with other films. I think last time I watched Scary Movie, I looked and I thought, I used to love Scary Movie. I used to be pissing myself at Scary Movie. But I think when I watched it last time, I looked and I thought, I don't know, it might be the frame of mind you're in at the time. I can still appreciate it's a good film. There's some really funny bits in it and I really enjoyed certain bits of it. But yeah, I think maybe there comes a point where you look and think, it's probably my last time of watching it.
I think that's totally normal. I think that's overexposure.
Yeah.
You have...
Yeah, but then there's other films that I've watched, like, from the past, that long before that I could still sit and watch now.
Yeah, but they've all got different levels of longevity. It's films which you go and watch. Like, you could watch a film and go, that was a really good film. I'm never going to watch it again. I don't need to.
Yeah.
You automatically feel that. Whereas there's other films, like where this first came out, or like Scary Movie, you laugh so much or you enjoy it so much, you watch it consistently.
I loved Scary Movie so much, but I think the last time I watched it, I will watch it again to make sure, but I think it's the same feeling that I had for this, that when I watched it again and I thought, yeah, it's good, but it wasn't it wasn't what I felt about it before. And maybe that's just certain films do that after a while. Maybe after watching them so many times, and maybe after a long period of time has gone, like if you ain't seen something for like 5-10 years, you look back at it and you revisit it and you think, no, it's not really what I remember it to be. Or maybe I'm a different person now. Maybe, you change, don't you, every year? So it's like, okay, well, no, it's still good, but I think I've moved on from it.
I think with comedy films in particular, it's hard for them to stay
relevant,
but also like hilarious. You know, I've always said that my favourite comedy is probably Life of Brian, but I know fairly recently watching it and I wasn't laughing as much.
Yeah.
I knew it was humorous.
Yeah.
I was enjoying it. I was going, oh, I know this bit.
Yeah.
But it's because I know it too much.
Yeah.
It's like someone's telling you a joke, goes, let me tell you this joke. And you think, yeah, I know this joke. It's funny. Go and tell me it. But you're not going to laugh as much as the first time you heard it.
Yeah, I think it's just. I think maybe it might be to do with comedies, because these three that we've just spoke about are all comedies. They're black comedies, but they're comedies.
Well, this is it. I can't see Silence of the Lambs dating in the same way, because you'd go, oh,
that's what I'm saying. The only thing I think that would date a film is like CGI or bad lighting, bad props, bad acting, or if something happens with one of the actors or the producer, something that you might look at it in a different way. But I think, things like there's certain films, like, for example, I could sit and watch Silence of the Lambs and I know I'd still enjoy it. I could watch Misery and still enjoy it.
Yeah.
I think it might have something to do with comedy aspects. Maybe comedy has changed. Not that I don't buy into all this like woke kind of comedy now. I don't buy into like, oh, you got to be careful what you say. That's nothing to do with any of that. It's just the fact that, with comedy, maybe it's only so many times you can hear that joke. Maybe it's that. I think someone maybe watching this for the first time might sort of see what I seen it all them years ago. And it is a good film, so don't get me wrong, I enjoyed it. I don't feel the same about it as what I did. And I thought, oh yeah, when you said about the podcast last week, I was, oh, Serial Mum, yeah, I can't wait. When I actually watched it, I was like, I don't know.
It's not hitting home as much as it did before. But I think that's totally normal. It doesn't take away from the film. With me, Mum and Lily, Lily had never seen it.
Yeah.
Mum might have seen it a couple of times.
Yeah, I think I've overexposed myself to it. I think that's probably what it is.
I guarantee that's what it is.
And the same with probably Scary Movie. I've probably watched them so many times when they come out. I went, oh, you got to watch this film. You got to watch this film. Send it to any friend that come round. Oh, we've got to watch this. And
did you watch it alone?
No, I watched it with two of my friends.
Yeah, and did they enjoy it, or was they?
Yeah, I think probably about the same as me. Didn't say nothing. Didn't sort of say, oh, that was shit or anything. Didn't say nothing. But it was just the way I was feeling about it. Yeah. It was the way it was sitting with me. I was thinking.
But this is something else that could be a factor as well. If you're with, like, say with Scary Movie, I wouldn't watch that on my own because I don't laugh as much as I did.
Yeah.
But if I'm watching it with other people who haven't watched it as much and they're peeing themselves laughing, it automatically makes you laugh a little bit more.
Yeah,
you're enjoying the situation a little bit more. To a lesser extent, the same thing happens with horrors. When you first see them, you might be, wow, it's really scary, that horror. But when you watch it now, you go, it's not scary, but if it's a good film, I can still enjoy it for being a good film.
Yeah, but I think with horrors, with me, I can sit and watch horrors. Like, I'll probably still be watching the horrors from the 70s in like fucking 20, 30 years' time, maybe, if I'm still here. I can still sit and watch them. Horror's a different thing, but you're not going to get scared of them because things that used to petrify me, I've got to remember I was a kid when I used to watch them. Like American Werewolf in London, right, when he's in the bed and he sort of opens his eyes and all that. That scared the shit out of me. I couldn't bring myself to look at that piece, that bit of it, for years. Whereas now, I just look at it, it means nothing to me. But I suppose because I'm looking at it for adult eyes now.
Possibly, but see, it's like with American Werewolf in London when I watched it with Lily and she didn't jump at all at the blue face. And it's quite sad in a way because that is my favourite film, and yet I can wholeheartedly say it will never scare me again. No. That film would never, because I know it too well. And Halloween when I was a kid, and Exorcist, both of them films I remember as a kid, I struggled to get through because it was so scary. Now I could sit there easily.
Nothing. It's the same with Salem's Lot. Like that vampire, Barlow, in Salem's Lot scared I couldn't even look at him. It scared the shit out of me. I now can look and go, okay. And that's what I'm saying, but it's probably because of my age, probably because you do get sensitised as time goes by.
I think it's more to do with the overexposure thing. Mainly because I can watch horror films, I could watch a horror film I've never seen before and still get scared. I can watch a comedy I've never seen before and still laugh. But it doesn't mean it's necessarily a better horror film or a better comedy than those other ones. It's literally just because you know it too well, you know the joke too well, you know the jumps too well in the horror films and stuff like that.
Yeah, as I said, regarding this film, I mean, it's a good film, don't get me wrong, I'm not slagging the film, it's just, it didn't hit home with me as what it has done in the past.
Yeah.
And that's what I noticed about it. I could have come in and gone, oh yeah, love it, blah, blah, blah. But I thought, well, I'm going to be honest about it, because I just didn't touch me the same way as what it did before. And I was expecting it to, because I was really excited when you said about it last week. And I went, oh yeah, Serial Mum. And then I watched it and I thought, it's good. It's good, but it's not the same feeling as what I used to have with it.
See, this is why I always say, when people say Desert Island Discs, so the idea is they say, right, you bring one album and you bring one film and one book to a desert island, and that's all you've got for that island. I've always maintained that I would not take my favourite film, favourite album, favourite book.
No.
I would take an album, film and book that I hate. The reason being, if you overexpose yourself to something you really don't like, eventually you'll start seeing good things in it. You know, I can't stand like Harry Potter.
Harry Potter, yeah.
You know, and yet I've watched it now 100 times. You sort of grow to learn something, but you can also grow to hate something. So this is why I wouldn't take American Werewolf. I wouldn't take Dark Side of the Moon, because as much as I love them, I'd learn to hate them, and I don't want to hate something that I love.
Do you drink?
No, I don't.
So you were not drunk when you received those allegedly obscene phone calls?
I certainly was not.
Now, you mean to tell me that the day I came over to Mrs. Ackerman's, the day you claim you recognized my voice, you were not drinking?
One beer with lunch is hardly drinking.
So you do drink?
Socially, I'll have a beer.
So you admit you just lied?
No, I don't, you bitch!
Watch your mouth, Mrs. Hinkle.
Did you see that? She just said fuck you to me!
Let the record show I am merely standing here.
Fuck you too, you fool.
I'm warning you, Mrs. Hinkle. One more obscenity and I'm going to charge you with contempt of court.
Mrs. Hinkle, are you insane?
No, I'm not, you motherfucker!
Mrs. Hinkle, I find you guilty of contempt and I sentence you to a $1,000 fine and 5 days in jail. Lock her up!
Sucker! You lousy pig fucker! You bitch! You ugly whore!
So in this film as well, I mean, I was watching it the other day, I was thinking, I know it's not, but it could even be a prequel to Scream. Because Matthew Lillard's character, imagine if they then went Witness Relocation, he's then screwed up in the head, because then he becomes the killer in Scream.
I suppose that's the way of looking at it, yeah.
Other actors in it, you got Mary Jo Catlett, who plays Rosemary Ackerman, the larger woman. She's known as the voice of Mrs. Puff in SpongeBob.
Okay.
So, very recognisable voice. You've got Justin Wallin as Scottie. He was in Child's Play 3, and he also played Jimmy Olsen in The Adventures of Lois and Clark. So you know the Superman TV series.
Yeah.
You've also got Traci Lords, who plays Carl's date. She's the one who...
The blonde one.
Yeah. She was a porn star. She was also in Blade and Zack and Miri.
Well, she was a real life porn star.
Yeah, yeah. Adult films and stuff. So that's obviously... Again, I think that's to do with John Waters' surroundings. He likes that sort of sordid world. You imagine if he lived in London, he probably would have lived in Soho. You know, he loves all those sort of late night characters.
And the film as well that Scottie's watching, the porno film with Chesty Morgan, is actually a real film called Deadly Weapons from 1974. Okay. Just in case you wanted to download it.
Oh, well, I will do.
And also when Mrs. Jensen's feet's being licked by the dog, which is a bit disgusting, that bit when she's watching Annie and the dog's licking her feet. They put butter on the feet for the dog to lick, so it wasn't just licking her sweat off of her feet. So I love that. That's probably my favourite scene in it, the bit with the Annie bit, because it just so doesn't go with the film Annie.
No.
And that like Tomorrow song, and you know, it's just, and then the woman's getting murdered with a leg of lamb with the song Tomorrow, the sun will come out tomorrow by Annie playing in the background, and all the blood splattering up the telly with Annie on it.
Yeah. Well, I still think that the film holds up, but like almost any film, if you overexpose yourself to it,
I think
there
I've
is a
just
chance.
overexposed. I think what it is, I think possibly I've overexposed myself to that film, and I've probably overexposed myself to quite a few films that I would watch, and I'll go, yeah, okay, maybe I won't watch that again.
Yeah.
But I've watched them so many times anyway, so it's like I've enjoyed them over the years. But I think it's just overexposure in me because I don't know when to sort of quit with stuff.
Me and Adam had the exact same thing with the Beatles. So when we was teenagers, we discovered the Beatles and we absolutely adored them. We bought every single album, all the sort of remastered stuff,
Yeah.
and we knew the songs inside out, and we'd be singing them all the time. Now, neither one of us are bothered. We're like,
Doesn't he like?
we like the Beatles. We appreciate what they've done, but because we overexpose ourselves to them, we know every one of the songs.
He's more prog rock now, isn't he, Adam?
Yeah, he's gone into
Which is like more Pink Floyd-y, isn't it? Prog rock, it's like more Pink Floyd.
Early Genesis.
Adam's our cousin, by the way, just so you know.
Yeah, he loves prog rock, and
I think you do grow out of songs. I mean, there's certain songs, certain albums and artists I loved when I was younger that. I mean, there's the classics that you always love, but there's certain songs that you absolutely adored, or albums you absolutely adored, that you just think, oh, no, I don't want to play that no more. Like another one, Main for Me, which I absolutely loved. I absolutely loved, which was from The Breakfast Club, Don't You Forget About Me. But I always skip it whenever it's... I even loved it that much, I was going to have it as one of my funeral songs. It was like that. Because I know how much I loved The Breakfast Club, and I see that when I was 16, so I could really identify with that film.
Yeah.
And I loved that song, and it was such a big song. But I just don't listen to it no more. Like, if it's on my 80s playlist, I will skip it. And it's not nothing to do with the song, because the song's fantastic, but I think also it's overexposure.
God, now I'll never get a boyfriend.
Beverly, I've read all about this. Is it menopause?
Oh, honey.
Tell me the truth, Mom. Really, it's okay with me. Are you a serial killer?
Chip, the only cereal I know anything about is Rice Krispies.
okay, so that was Serial Mum.
Well, the Rotten Tomatoes for Serial Mum was 64% with the critics and 72% with the audience. So it's not too bad.
It's not too bad.
It's not a bad one. But I think it did make a loss, though. I mean, as I say, it cost 13 million and it only made 7.8 million. So it wasn't a success.
No.
But as you said, I think it's more of a cult thing. So maybe it sort of made its money up in other ways, DVD sales and stuff like that.
This is a film that I would happily to recommend to quite a large spectrum of people. Most people who I know, I think I would happily recommend it to them and think that they'd enjoy it for the first time watching it. You know, they'd watch it and go, hey, it was quite fun. But like I said, the reason I watched it, Lily wanted some cheesy 90s fun.
Yeah.
And I looked and I see Serial Mum and I thought, I know Ben wants to do this as a podcast. Let's do it. Let's watch it. And
You said you was
enjoyed
going
it.
to show her Watcher in the Woods. Did you show her that?
No.
'Cause I think she'd like that, Watcher in the Woods.
No,
And the Shore thing.
No.
Because the Shore things I think she'd like.
She'd like the Shore thing.
That's it, yeah, the
I
Shore
don't know
thing.
if she'd like
No, I knew it was one. I knew it was one of them. The Shore thing, that's the one that I think that is more up her street. But yeah, okay, that's it then, really. That's, let's say I enjoyed it. Don't get me wrong, I did enjoy it. But I could sort of see that it's probably... I've probably watched it enough now. Because I think I know it so well. And it's not one of the ones I'll probably revisit. Not for any fault in the film itself and the acting or the storyline is fantastic. But I think it's just where I've overexposed myself to it over the years.
I found that even recently. There's whenever I come across new songs, I add them to a playlist on Spotify, and sometimes I'll be listening to the song and I can almost sense that I'm getting bored of it. I skip it. I don't want to get bored of this song yet.
Yeah.
Because I still want to show it to a few people, so I deliberately skip the song.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it? I think, I do the same. Sometimes it's a real well-known song that you think, say, like an 80s, Sam listen to an 80s playlist, and it's a song you need to have on there, but I just end up deleting it, because it's so overexposed.
It's like Aha, Take On Me. Love that song, but I don't care if, you know...
Oh, no, I still love that one.
But
then again, to be truthful...
I skip it.
No, to be truthful, yeah, listening to watching the video, I'd watch the video, listening to the song... I probably would skip. And I probably listen to it at the moment with the 80s are the lesser known ones or the one hit wonder ones that ain't been sort of killed.
Yeah, exactly. I'm exactly the same. So when I listen to an album, say like Imagine, for example, the one track I don't listen to on the Imagine album is Imagine.
Yeah.
Because I've heard it a million times. I don't even rate it as a song now.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm getting sick of this song.
Yeah.
And it's a shame. But you've got to learn when you think, you know what, I don't want to watch that yet.
So you got to dip
It's
out
been
of
too
it.
soon.
Yeah.
I'll watch it again, give it 10, 15,
Yeah.
20 years, and then rewatch it or listen to it again, and then you've almost forgotten parts of it.
Yeah.
Right, so next podcast.
Right, well, I thought we would do a new film.
Okay.
I was thinking of doing the film Barbie
Okay.
because it's something that's relevant
Yeah.
and up to date. We'll have to go and see what that's like. I mean, I haven't seen it yet. You've seen it. I haven't seen it, so I'll watch that.
Okay,
And
cool.
yeah, we'll do that for next week.
All right, lovely.
All right.
All right, well, thanks for listening.
Thank you very much, and we'll catch up with you soon. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.